The moment you start explaining your boundaries to someone who keeps crossing them, something subtle happens. You think you're being mature, calm, reasonable, but what you're really doing is revealing how much you're willing to tolerate. And the wrong people don't misunderstand your boundaries, they measure them. They watch how many times you'll repeat yourself. They calculate the cost of ignoring you. And if that cost is low, they'll cross the line again. Think about how many times you replayed the conversation afterward. I should have said it better. I should have been clearer. I should have stayed calmer. But the outcome never changes because the problem was never your explanation. It was your expectation. Stoicism teaches something uncomfortable and freeing. You are responsible for your character, not for convincing others of it. You control your response, not their respect. The moment you stop negotiating your dignity is the moment your power begins returning. If you're here, it's because a part of you is tired of performing strength and ready to embody it. If you value clarity without cruelty, boundaries without bitterness, and discipline without drama, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing, not as a favor to this channel, but as a commitment to the version of you that refuses to live as a reaction ever again. Disrespect is not random. It is a test. When someone interrupts you again and again, makes subtle jokes about you in front of others, dismisses your opinions, or keeps pushing your boundaries in small but deliberate ways, they are not simply careless, they are observing. They are collecting information. They are asking a quiet question without ever saying it out loud. How far can I go with this person? And the way you respond becomes their answer. Most people assume disrespect is emotional. They think it comes from anger, misunderstanding, or stress. Sometimes it does, but often it is strategic. It is a probe, a small push to measure resistance. If there is no resistance, the push becomes stronger next time. Think about the last moment someone crossed a line with you. Maybe they spoke over you in a meeting. Maybe they laughed at something personal you shared. Maybe they made you feel small in a room full of people. What did you do? Did you feel your heart race and fire back in anger? Did you try to explain yourself calmly so they would finally understand? Or did you lower your eyes and say nothing, hoping it would pass? Every reaction teaches them something. Anger shows them you are emotionally invested. Silence shows them you fear conflict. Long explanations show them that you want approval, and wanting approval is the easiest handle to grab. Much of the pain you feel in these moments is not only the insult itself, but the story you tell yourself about what it means. That story drives your reaction, and your reaction becomes the blueprint they study. Need is leverage. The moment someone senses that you need them to see you as good, reasonable, or worthy, the balance shifts. You may believe that if you explain your side clearly enough, they will finally respect you. But if respect depended on explanation, it would have appeared by now. When you over-explain, you are not strengthening your boundary, you are softening it. You are saying, without meaning to, that your limit is open for discussion. That is why the disrespect continues. It is not confusion, it is feedback. The more you react in predictable ways, the more predictable you become, and predictability gives control to the other person. This is where a quiet internal shift begins. Instead of reacting like a student being graded, you begin observing like the examiner. You start noticing patterns. You stop asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" and start asking, "What are they trying to gain from this? Attention? Superiority? A reaction?" Once you see the pattern, your emotional temperature changes. You are no longer trapped in the moment. You are outside of it, studying it. When you pause, even for a few seconds, you interrupt the test. You stop giving instant data. There is strength in that pause, not dramatic strength, quiet strength, the kind that does not need to prove itself. When someone makes a cutting remark and you do not rush to defend yourself, something subtle happens. You're not submitting, you are evaluating. You are deciding whether the comment deserves entry into your mind at all. Carl Jung wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." You begin to see social dynamics as exchanges of energy. When someone disrespects you, they are offering a transaction. They provoke, hoping to purchase a reaction. If you give them anger, apology, or desperation, the transaction is complete. They feel powerful. But when you respond with calm observation or with simple facts, the transaction fails. The first shift is clinical detachment, not coldness, not cruelty, detachment. There's a difference, and it matters. Imagine a scientist standing in a lab watching a reaction inside a glass container. The chemicals bubble, the colors change, the reaction grows intense, but the scientist does not panic. The scientist does not take it personally. They observe, they record, they adjust. That posture is what you are building within yourself. The next time someone disrespects you, notice the first impulse that rises. The mind wants to ask, how could they do this to me? Instead, gently replace it with another. What are they trying to extract? Attention, validation, control, a reaction. When you shift the focus, the emotional temperature drops. You begin to see the behavior as a strategy rather than a personal attack. And once you see strategy, you can respond strategically. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That strength is not loud. It does not argue. It does not prove. It simply refuses to surrender the inner space where decisions are made. There is a paradox hidden here. The moment you stop trying to be understood, you become harder to provoke. When you no longer need the other person to validate your character, their words lose their hook. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That reaction is the only territory you truly govern. But here is the part that unsettles most people. When you detach, the other person may escalate. When the usual reaction disappears, they press harder. It's like pressing an elevator button that does not light up. You press it again, then again more forcefully. In relationships, this can look like sharper words, louder accusations, or more dramatic behavior. The escalation is not proof that detachment failed. It is proof that the old reward system is breaking. The pattern is searching for its former payoff. This stage requires discipline. When you stop reacting the way you used to, you interrupt their reward system. This spike is what psychologists call an extinction burst. In toxic dynamics, the extinction burst can look overwhelming. Rumors may start circulating, and this is the exact moment where most people fold. They interpret the escalation as proof that they made a mistake. They think, I made it worse. I should go back to how I was. But look closely. You did not make it worse. You made it ineffective. The pattern is struggling to survive without the reward it depended on. Remaining steady during escalation is not about revenge. It is about refusing to mirror the chaos placed in front of you. At this stage, your response becomes simpler, not louder. You reduce it to facts. Disrespect feeds on emotion, especially emotional language. Words like selfish, dramatic, lazy, useless, irresponsible, these are not descriptions of behavior, they are labels. Instead of arguing with adjectives, respond with what is concrete. If someone says, "You never help around here," the instinct is to defend yourself with a long explanation. A steadier response is short and factual. "I did the dishes. They're in the rack." That's it. No tone, no heat, just reality. If someone calls you incompetent and it lingers for days, ask yourself what part of you feels uncertain. If someone calls you unlovable and it shakes you, notice where that fear already lived. The insult is a trigger, not the root. Once you see that, the words lose some of their power. They are no longer defining you, they are revealing you. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." That acceptance is not about arrogance, it is about integration. You are not only your strengths, you are also your fears, your habits, your mistakes. There is one internal decision that changes everything, and it is not dramatic. You kill the hope that they will become different. This is the hardest part because hope feels noble. Hope feels patient. Hope feels loving. But in the wrong place, hope becomes a chain. As long as you secretly believe they will wake up one day, apologize sincerely, and transform into the person you wish they were, you remain emotionally invested in their potential. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Epictetus taught that freedom begins when you separate what you can control from what you cannot. You cannot control another person's character. You become selective with your energy. Not dramatic, not hostile, selective. You start to recognize that your attention, your warmth, your time, and your vulnerability are not unlimited resources. Aristotle wrote, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." When you know your limits, you protect them. You stop offering parts of yourself to people who treat them carelessly. This is not about revenge, it is about responsibility. The day you stop explaining your worth is the day your life gets quieter. Not because the world suddenly becomes kinder, but because you finally become unshakable. You are no longer negotiating your dignity. You are no longer reacting to every provocation. You are standing in something solid. And when you stand that way long enough, the noise fades. If this spoke to something inside you, there's another video on the screen that goes even deeper into building that kind of inner strength. Watch that next. Keep sharpening your mind. Keep strengthening your character.